Number 1.
Please listen carefully. In this question, you will be asked to give your opinion about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak.
Some people like taking their vacation in a city. Others prefer spending their vacation in the countryside. Which do you prefer and why? Include details and examples in your explanation.
You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
Number 2.
Please listen carefully. In this question, you will read a short passage about a campus situation and then listen to a conversation on the same topic. You will then answer a question using information from both the reading passage and the conversation. After you hear the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak.
You will have 45 seconds to read the announcement. Begin reading now.
Now listen to two students as they discuss the theater course.
This course isn't open to students. That means we can't take it. Don't you think that's strange?
Well, yeah, kind of. But students have to be enrolled in the theater arts program if they want to be in any of the plays. This course is for people who live in town.
I don't think that's right. We pay tuition and fees, so we should be able to take any course we want at this school.
But this is a chance for other people to work with the theater students. It's a community class.
But it's not fair. What if I want to learn about theater too? I'm a full-time student. I'm not enrolled in the theater arts program, but I'd love a chance to work on a play. The instructor is the director of the theater program. I would enjoy taking this course just for fun, but I can't because I'm a student. It doesn't make sense.
Maybe you should go talk to the dean.
I think I will. Maybe I can convince him that this rule discriminates against students.
The man expresses his opinion about the theater course. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion.
You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
Number 3.
Please listen carefully. In this question, you will read a short passage on an academic subject and then listen to part of a lecture on the same topic. You will then answer a question using information from both the reading passage and the lecture. After you hear the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak.
You will have 45 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now.
Now listen to part of a talk on this topic in a sociology class.
The concept of cohort helps us understand the similarities and differences in the lives of adults of different ages. If we look at times of major social change, like the Great Depression of the 1930s, we can see how variations in experience affected successive cohorts. Everyone who was alive during that period was affected in some way, but because events hit each cohort at a different age, the effects are different for each cohort. The timing of events interacts with developmental issues, and this produces unique patterns of influence for each cohort. For example, one study showed that people who were teenagers during the Great Depression showed fewer long-term effects than people who were younger children at the time. The younger cohort spent a greater portion of their childhood under conditions of economic hardship, and that affected their family life and their educational opportunities. The negative effects of the Depression on the children's personalities could still be seen in adulthood. In contrast, people who were teenagers during the Depression didn't show negative effects later in life. In fact, some of them showed more independence and initiative. Thus, you can see how two cohorts that were close in age experienced the same circumstances differently because they were different ages at the time.
Describe the effect of historical events on different cohorts and explain how the Great Depression influenced two cohorts that were close in age.
You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
Number 4.
Please listen carefully. In this question, you will listen to part of a lecture. You will then be asked to summarize important information from the lecture. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak.
Now listen to part of a talk in a nursing class. The professor is discussing immunization.
Before we had immunizations, thousands of children and adults died or were disabled from diseases that are now almost completely eliminated. The results of worldwide immunization programs are amazing, making this the greatest success story in medical history. Immunization works by strengthening the immune system against a specific disease in a much safer way than the disease process itself. In order to control a disease, we have to immunize at least 80% of the population. If we fall below 80%, the disease will find enough human hosts where it can live and flourish. Immunizing an entire population can eliminate bacteria or viruses that survive only if they have a human host. The methods for developing vaccines against bacterial diseases were available in the early 1900s. Researchers had discovered how to isolate bacteria and grow them in the laboratory. This led to experiments with vaccines that caused the body to produce antibodies against certain bacteria. Soon we had safe vaccines against the typhoid, cholera, tetanus, and tuberculosis bacteria. For diseases caused by viruses, some of the first successful immunizations were for smallpox, rabies, and yellow fever. The polio vaccine took a long time to develop because this virus couldn't be grown outside the living human body. Efforts to isolate the polio virus and develop a vaccine were finally successful in 1955. By this time, we had methods for cultivating viruses in the laboratory using animal tissues such as eggs. We could then develop vaccines against other viruses such as measles.
Using points and examples from the talk, explain how immunization works and how vaccines were developed against various diseases.
You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.